One, two, one, two.
Welcome to another edition of the TreeHouse Live. Coming at you live from
The TreeHouse
with your host Jacob Bruner
and Andrew Sanchez.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Today we will be talking about the American dream and redefining it, and should we redefine it, as well as some other aspects that encompass this. Let's talk about some birthdays. It was actually Art Tatum's birthday a couple of days ago.
Interesting. Art Blakey's was recently.
Art Blakey's was last week as well. Who else? It was Eleanor Roosevelt's birthday yesterday. Happy birthday to those people.
Happy birthday.
Speaking of Eleanor Roosevelt being one of the first ladies of the United States, that works a good segue into the first part of the American Dream discussion. Should we change our national anthem?
Well, I definitely think yes, for a multitude of reasons. For the reasons that I feel like a lot of other people are saying, which are probably the most important ones, is like, you know, kind of the hidden verse of it and how it's kind of racist and how, like, this and that. But honestly, it's just outdated at this point. And, like, I think, personally, that our new national anthem should come from something more African-oriented.
Yeah. Why?
Well,
Why do you say African?
because it's more... It's almost like a form of reparation in a way. Because, I mean, having that as our national anthem for so long was something that is... I feel like just coming from, like, slavery and segregation, like, and it's really still not even all the way better. Like, just racism in general.
Oh no. There's still slavery. It's just modernized today. Like, if you look at... It's less, I should say it's less aggressive today. Because with... Back in the day, you had black people as your property. Your slaves, right? Now today, we have... We like black culture, but we don't like black people. Like... We like some people like jazz music or hip hop music, rap music today, and the music industry is like, it's up here.
Hip hop is actually the biggest genre now.
Yeah, and so that's like revered as one of the highest genres right now in popularity. But the people that mostly make that music are black people. But the United States, you know, it's like they're taking what they make and what they create, their property, and calling it American, theirs. You know, like the culture industry and the popular industry. But they're still oppressing black people, and by not saying like this is their music, you know, they're saying this is American music, this is our music, this is what we contribute to the world. But back at home, we don't like them. That's modern day slavery. That's taking them, what they create, their property, and calling that ours. You know, that's kind of like a less aggressive version of slavery.
I think like the more prevalent form, and I guess it's kind of the direction I thought you were gonna go, is like the more economic slavery aspect, where like
And that too, yeah.
social or like class mobility is kind of like a myth now, which was like the one of the kernels of the American dream is that you can come here with nothing and like build whatever kind of life you want. And I don't think that same kind of economic mobility really exists now. It's like really hard for a poor person to not be poor anymore.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, it's no secret that proportionally black people are poorer than white people.
Yeah.
And like it's in like a perfect society, race would have no indicator as to what part of like economic status you will probably be in, you know? But it's just like the cards are just stacked against them in a lot of different ways.
It is, and a lot of ways that people don't realize. Like in black neighborhoods, there are more liquor stores and tobacco stores on like every street corner. You know, the people that make the housing market or the realty, whatever, they make it so that they'll put these things all around a black neighborhood, black community to like weaken them almost, because in neighborhoods like if you look at the black neighborhoods with the amount of liquor stores and the amount of tobacco stores that are like on every street corner, it is nowhere near proportionate to in a white neighborhood, you know, nowhere near. And it's to like make them lazy or make them, you know, make them like look bad, you know. Like the higher ups, they are like sort of housing the hood society, you know, because they're creating this setting for them to live in, you know. And it's bad, like it's horrible.
It actually,
you know? And then it makes, I mean, this like the whole problem today is what makes black people seem like bad or you know, like it makes it's because of the all this stuff, all the housing, making, you know, putting all these extra things in their communities that of course are going to make any human being oppressed. You know, it's going to make them feel depressed because they're drinking all the time. It's going to make them waste money because they're buying liquor and buying tobacco all the time. You know, and when you put in other oppressive forces, other than like economics and housing, then it's like, of course they're gonna be like going around shooting each other. You know, it's like any group of people would do that if you put them in that setting.
Even if you're in that situation too, and you don't, and all that stuff is near you, and you can avoid it because you have strong values as an individual,
which is hard to avoid.
Which is hard, especially if you're poor. But even if you're avoiding it, those buildings and those businesses attract individuals that want to go there, which is the opposite usually. But like, I was watching this thing on College Humor, the series Adam Ruins Everything, where he just like goes in depth about topics.
Yep.
And he was talking about like the beginning of suburb development and stuff, and even though certain measures had already been taken to counteract racism, it was basically like the government said things aren't racist anymore, and then all the white people who were in control on the next tier down were still implementing like racist policies. Like literally homeowners or developers who would be in charge of suburbs and stuff, or people who could give out loans for people to buy houses, would make it essentially impossible for black people to get the loans they needed to get houses in the suburbs and stuff. And the neighborhoods would be quite literally segregated. And on top of that, the white people would have, and this is still a thing, by the way, like, white people get better interest on loans for houses than black people across the board. I don't remember the exact stats, but it's bad. It's like ridiculous how different it is. So it's just like, there's all these really almost individually, like if you suggested to someone like, oh yeah, like, did you know that like white people get better interest rates for loans and stuff from black people? That by itself, without knowing every specific thing about it, is like, oh well, that's just like one thing. But it's like it's
like
the combination of all of these factors, and it's like
it's oppressive. It's modern day slavery.
being in one situation where you don't have all of that stacked against you, compared to being in that situation. I truly can't imagine.
No, seriously. So like, getting back to the national anthem being one of like the main proponents of what could be the main proponent of like shifting the boat. You know what I mean?
It's one of the only common identities we as a country can agree on is, oh yeah, this is our country song.
Which is a silly thing to even have in the first place. I mean, just to like.
I mean,
like this is. I mean,
if we're gonna have a national song, it can at least be swinging or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like
it can be fun to listen to.
It needs to incorporate the blues. The national anthem has to incorporate the blues.
Well, here's a funny thought. You know, like who would write it? Who would be entrusted to write this?
Well, for someone to be entrusted to write it, I see it going two ways. One, any schmuck will just write it and just publicize it like crazy and be like, look, this could be something. Or Congress and the whole country or whatever is like recognizes, hey, we need to do something about our national anthem, and then they will appoint someone to write a national anthem. But even then, it's like
Rhiannon Giddens, dude. She was just here. She would do a great job.
Yeah, Wynton Marsalis would do a killing job too.
Wynton Marsalis, dude, he would kill it.
I mean, like all these huge American figures.
There's a bunch of people to choose from.
Exactly, it's a whole pool of people. You know,
we are not short on great African-rooted artists in America.
But the thing is, as well, if that's how it's gonna go, if Congress or whoever's gonna be like, all right, you write this, then it's gonna be like. I wonder how much, like, intelligence would be forced upon the writer. Like, like, being like, you can't write this, or don't write this.
In that sense, it might even be better to just find something pre-existing and be like, this is the perfect idea, which we can agree on, without having to even let that be an opportunity. But... Mm-hmm. I don't know. I hope we see a change, but I don't think many people or the government are really considering that as even an option yet.
No. I like the point you made about the liquor stores and tobacco shops in close proximity to like low income neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
That got me thinking about other things, you know, close to that, like a bunch of McDonald's and fast food restaurants. And we just read that 4 out of 10 U.S. adults are now obese. So it's obviously almost an epidemic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's almost half.
Yeah.
Yeah, doctors say that obesity and diabetes is going to be the #1 killer of our generation. You know, before our generation, it was heart condition.
That's crazy.
But even with obesity and diabetes comes heart condition problems.
Oh, yeah.
Like with obesity, definitely you get some heart problems. And it's just another form of the government trying to get money, because people who get more obese, 1, they're spending more money on food. 2, they're going to spend money on gym memberships. 3, they're going to spend money on like big pharmaceutical medicine to like lose weight,
Magic pills.
Or they're going to spend a bunch of money to get surgery to remove stuff. So it's all money.
The crazy thing is that, I mean, I guess the government in a way kind of wants it, because the people running the government are just trying to keep their jobs. And the way they keep their jobs is they keep fundraising. And the primary people they fundraise from, if you're fundraising, are you going to go out and try to get money from a bunch of people like us? Or are you going to answer to the one guy who can just give you millions of dollars right now, or hundreds of thousands of dollars right now? Mm-hmm. And so those are all of those different industries you just listed. They want people to be fat. and they like. It's just such a shame, and
It's
the crazy thing is if you're like 500 or 600 pounds, you have to eat over 5,000 calories a day to not lose weight.
Oh wow.
Wow, that's a lot of calories.
So that's like pretty terrible. Like,
yeah,
I guess.
that's an addiction at that point. You're addicted to stuffing your face.
oh yeah, dude, it's gluttony.
With garbage too. It's not even like you're eating vegetables all day.
Yeah, I mean, like, eating is fantastic, and I mean, honestly, it kind of. I'm gonna step in for a little bit, actually. Just talk about this.
Yeah, just like any pleasure,
Yeah,
it's if you get too much of it.
and
bad.
you know, you develop such a sweet tooth for like, you know, a lot of sugary things, but they're usually like artificial sugars, you know, and stuff like that. So I don't know, you become so like, you get so much, you almost become desensitized to it. You like need more and more and more, and then like a fruit, it's just not like, it's not gonna taste good to you. But if you start only eating fruit, it's a beautiful thing to put in your mouth.
Beautiful. It's great.
But what's kind of scary is that, can you really even trust the fruit that you eat to be completely
I
natural?
trust that fruit more than
Yes.
more than the fact that the bun of the cheeseburger I'm about to eat has artificial sugar in it.
Exactly. Everything in that cheeseburger, everything.
Every part of it has artificial
You
sugar.
know, it's
in
the
it.
sugars, and more so than the sugars, it's the meat and dairy industry.
Yeah.
Dude, dairy
You know,
is honestly
it's like
so disgusting.
yeah, and
Like
It doesn't make
anyone,
sense.
anyone who knows anything about it's disgusting. So basically, quick rundown. Quick rundown. So for a female cow to produce milk that we use, they have to be impregnated. So they take these female cows and they just impregnate them over and over again, which makes the hormones go completely out of balance. As soon as the calf's taken away, if it's a male, they immediately take it to raise it to be as fat as possible to slaughter it. So they're going to inject that cow with a certain set of hormones and give it all the pills. Most of the pills that the pharmaceutical industry produces, by the way, actually go to just feed livestock. And it's really gross.
so we're getting that
Yeah, we eat
when
it.
we eat it.
And so when it's a female cow that's born, they take it to raise it and inject it full of different hormones to get it ready to do the same thing. So they just start feeding them hormones, impregnating them over and over again, and they just live in this pen having a robot squeeze its udder all day.
That's
And
terrible.
then people drink pharmaceutical hormone juice thinking that it's going to make their bones good, thinking that it's not going to make them fat. Like,
Nasty.
what? And the crazy thing is, the studies show that basically everything that dairy claims that it does for you, it does the opposite. People who consume more dairy have worse bones.
Wow.
And it's literally fat juice.
It is.
I wonder what it does to your brain too. You know.
With all those
don't
meds
know,
and
dude.
hormones, it's
Well,
truly disgusting.
I think I read somewhere that people who have like ADHD, some of it is caused by
You
the
think
things
so?
that they eat, like
I
this
believe it,
fast
dude.
food and things like that.
I mean, it's not a coincidence that all the kids have all these crazy issues now, and none of them can pay attention. It's because all the food is. I mean, you are what you eat.
It's true. It's true. I mean, there's also a bunch of conspiracies that the government's putting stuff in the water.
Well, the
Or
fluoride is in the water, like we know that.
Yeah, but like some kind of mind controlling substance.
Oh.
Like, but that doesn't seem too crazy.
Yeah, it really.
You
You
know?
really don't
Like,
know.
I
You really
could
don't know.
I could humor that idea.
It's hard
You
for
know?
the average person who's not like a chemist or biologist to really make sense of fluoride being in the water.
That's true too. Who
And
knows?
like, I mean, I personally don't know the exact effects, and I've heard different things about it. But all I'm saying is, like, that we know that it doesn't improve dental hygiene at all. So, can we just like stop because I would rather not have it.
That's
in
such
my
a
water.
weird excuse to even have it in the first place. You know? I mean, can we talk about the fact that water is, like, being owned?
That's crazy, yeah.
How there's like a severe drought in California and Nestle still bottles like the only water left to sell it somewhere else.
I mean, it's illegal in North Carolina to collect your own water.
Oh, that's a federal law.
A
Like
federal
you can't
law.
do that anywhere in the United States.
You can't collect your own water.
You know what I also learned yesterday about the United States? There are banned books in
Oh,
the
really?
United States.
Do you know what they are?
Our friend Mario sent me one by Noam Chomsky that's apparently banned in the United States.
What?
Go figure.
You can't.
I don't know.
Can't.
I
do
watched
that.
a video.
That's like
I watched one of his
against
videos
the
today.
primary,
Isn't that infringing on the Constitution?
the First Amendment.
Yeah, I watched one of his videos today. He made an interesting point, and it ties in perfectly with what we're talking about. He was talking about college and the universities, and how in the United States, even just everywhere around the world, but probably mostly in the United States, is that universities are now, and they're not used as universities, as places to learn.
It's used as a business.
Well, yeah, it's used as a business, but he was saying it's an indoctrination of the young people.
Really?
That's what he said. He was saying, like, because you get all these people together and you teach them how to learn. You know, you can't learn that. You have to learn this way. You teach them to obey. Like, you have to have this kind of obedience. You have to do this assignment, no matter how stupid it is. You know? You have to do this lab work. You have to work with these people.
Not to mention just to be at a place at a certain time.
Yeah, you have to, you know, it's like an indoctrination of young people. It's trying to train them and teach them to act a certain way and to obey certain principles.
You know what's funny about that? Is a lot of the people I talk to, I guess not in my closest circles, just because, I don't know, I want to be well, that's beside the point. But a lot of the people I talk to from, like, any part of the university, or just, like, any average person from high school I know, or what a lot of people, their goal is, what kind of job can I get? As opposed to, what can I create? Like, what difference can I make in the world? Like, what do I actually want to accomplish? They're like, what most people are worried about is, where can I work to get enough money to have a right to exist? It's like, what?
You're thinking about it the wrong way.
I want to do all kinds of crazy, cool, creative stuff.
Mhm.
I want to accomplish things. I don't want to worry about the money aspect of it. That's just...
Well, you know, I think also at the same time there has to be people like this for this world to function. Like, there has to be someone on the books.
I mean,
Oh, for
I
sure.
do believe in the
For sure.
balance of things.
You know,
Everyone has their unique role they can
but
fill, I
definitely in the
believe.
university system, they're teaching us to. It's like you go to school, go find a job.
Yeah. I
You
mean,
know.
And, like, we're in school, like, you know that half the shit that you do, does it really help you with
We're
real life
training you
stuff?
for the real world.
Dude, more than half. More than half.
Doesn't really apply.
It's like it's
And
ridiculous.
the crazy
And it
thing
also
is-
depends on what you're majoring in at school.
Yeah.
Like partly, you know, we've mentioned on the show that most of us, like Jacob and I, are music majors, and it's partly our choice that, you know, I mean, it is our choice that we became music majors, and being a music major, it also entails that you have to do all this other academic stuff. So, in a way, it's also our fault that we chose to be music majors.
Definitely.
because-
But you just wanted to play music.
Yeah, but, like, it's at the same time,
You're in school.
we're in school. And, you know, it's just like, after my second or third year of being in school here, I wish I should just dropped out.
You know what the thing...
And just stayed here and taught, or, and got, or paid people for lessons.
And you know what the crazy thing is? Is
I
that
hope they heard that.
some days, like when you go to class, you're basically spending money to be there. Essentially, you're paying for that class.
And then somehow stupid. Sorry to cut you off,
No,
but
you're
then
good.
how some of the classes you go to
I know exactly what you're
are
thinking
just
about.
it's just it's just a waste. And it's like you go to class, right? say it's like an hour and a half class. You go to class. You are sitting there, and this person is talking about something. It's a lecture, and and like, but it has nothing to do with you. Like, say you're doing a group. Let's say you're doing group projects, right? And the professor uses one group as an example, and like works with this group in front of the class for an hour and a half on what they're doing for their group project. And it's like, this is an hour and a half of my time, and I'm essentially paying you, the professor, to
work with another
to
group.
work with this group in front of me and not work with me.
And it's just like,
it's just silly. It's silly. It's
is.
like, I don't know how much one class on one day is. Do you know how much it is? Probably like $100, $200
I don't
or
remember.
something like that.
I think it's around $100. Or, well, it's like,
Some classes are not
it's
worth
like,
that.
it's like one full course, I think, is, my advisor told me at the beginning of last semester, and I can't remember. I remember being mad about it, though.
And and it plays into how the attendance policy is so
Yeah,
stupid.
it's like, I'm paying for this information, so if I feel like I don't need it, why should I have to go? And really, what you're getting out of it is you're getting an institutional validation saying that you can do a certain thing. You're qualified to do a certain thing. Which is just like, it's like, why does it matter if they say I can do it, if I can just do it, you know? And the other thing is, if you quit today, or let's say in hindsight instead, if you quit when you wanted to and did what the other option,
mm-hmm.
and instead of going to school, you were creating quantifiable musical products, can you even imagine how much farther along you would be than right now?
I would have so many pieces written. I'd probably have this symphony that I'm working on done. I'd probably be working on my second one right now.
You probably wouldn't be here.
You'd
probably be rehearsing right now.
You're probably right, Ricky. You are probably right. I would probably be rehearsing with someone,
And
rehearsing
yet-
my music or whatever.
And yet here we are,
And yet here I am.
still going to school.
Still going to school and watching my grade go down just because I'm not in class. Just because I'm not in class. But like all the work is done. All the work is done great.
Yeah.
But for some reason my grade's going down just because I'm not sitting in that seat.
Yeah.
That's like that doesn't make any sense
And most
to me.
of the professors just put their lecture online, you know?
Exactly. Like if you're gonna put everything online, but then tell me you have to go to class.
Yeah, the
It's
same
like,
PowerPoint that they're just going to be reading to you in class.
Exactly.
You know?
So
It's like
annoying.
it's like it just feels like high school, dude. It just feels like it's like you have to be here or else. And if you're not here, it shows me that you are irresponsible and you can't do anything. You can't be trusted.
If anything, you're just trying to do more.
It's like, I'm sorry, like I have my own stuff I need to take care of.
Yeah.
You know, like
I thought we were adults, you know?
exactly. It's like, aren't we all adults?
We're just training you for the real world,
It's like-
where then you'll be on someone else's leash.
That's right, yeah.
This is ridiculous.
And you know whose leash you'll be on? You'll be on the person that was too smart to go to college. Well, first of all, it'll be you doing a menial task, and you'll be managed by the guy that went to business school.
Well,
the
guy...
school of managing money and people. And he doesn't create anything, he just manages things.
Yeah.
Then ultimately someone is under the guy that was like, this is stupid, I'm going to control all the people because they're all idiots.
If I could go back to school, dude, like if I could do all this over again, I would probably do 2 years of get an associate's degree, and then do 2 years of whatever,
Mm-hmm.
you know, maybe music, maybe, because my love for music is so great. Music is gonna be my forefront no matter what I do in life, you know, and so it's like in hindsight, I kind of wish I didn't go to school for music.
Yeah.
Just because now I'm doing all this extra waste of work just so I can get a degree in music, which is not going to do anything.
I want to ask you guys, because...
But at the same time, sorry, I wouldn't trade my musical training here at the school for anything. Like, the training I had at the school was superb.
I'm very grateful.
You know,
for that.
you know, I'm not taking that for granted, but at the same time, it's like, after 2 years of school, of like crazy intense music teaching, I realized I could get that same intense music teaching just by paying the professor.
That's why I wanted to ask you, like, I did a year of music school, and it was okay. And then after I got out of school of music, I think I got, like, twice as good as I was before.
Yeah, because you have more time. You have ample time, because, like, with a lot of other majors, you just do your homework and you're done.
Yeah.
You know, you just do your homework and you're done. You don't have to do anything. You just do your homework for that class and you're done.
And it's very clear when you're done.
And it's very clear.
It's either done or it's not.
It's like you finish this worksheet or you write this paper and that's it.
And here's where it's different with arts, specifically with music, which would be practice.
Yeah,
because if you're given a recital or something, it's like, when are you done preparing?
You're never done. You're not done until the recital's over, and then you're actually like preparing for your recital that you don't know about in like 10 years on that same music. You know, it's like when you practice music, you practice a certain piece, you are never done with it.
And that's the thing, is you got lessons every week, and so it's like you're stressing out about that, like, oh, this is ready or not ready, you know, like.
So how, to get back on topic, how can we're talking about all these things about the American dream and the problems with institutions and things like that. So what can we do as a generation that's coming up to redefine the American dream?
Jacob had quite the idea that, simply put, we just don't go to school like everyone.
Oh yeah, it's like, I mean, it's the idea that, and you could apply it to a lot of different things. It's just like, if we all just stopped at the same time, but then it's like, is everyone going to stop at the same time? Is that realistic?
Yeah.
I mean, the first step is for us to stop, is for me to stop. You know, if I want that to be real, I have to stop first.
Will you?
I mean, some days I am so defeated by school, I don't even want to, and I know for a fact that this is not irregular. There are some days where I just feel so defeated that I don't want to do any work, I don't want to get out of bed, and I don't even want to participate in my own passion, because I feel so defeated by school.
By school, then school work. Not like necessarily music or the music school, but like school, like I shouldn't even.
It's the BS.
I shouldn't even call it school, because at this point it's not even school; it's busy work.
Yeah, and you know, like, I stress out about my grades so much, just like this
grades.
Like, I think about it all the time. I'm constantly checking and like I'm a slave to it.
We shouldn't be. For people who are like the next generation that want to change this world, we can't be like stressed about this number in this class. We need to be stressed about our passions and how they're gonna like change the course of human history.
And we need to be stressed about the real world right in front of us. Like,
yeah, in the real world, nobody's stressed if they have an 86 in chemistry. It's like, how silly is that? You know?
Anything, it should just be pass fail. You know.
I really think so.
Did you go to the class? Did you learn anything?
Yeah, you know. I mean, just take the exam. Like, who cares what the hell you do in the first day and then the last day? Just take the exam and we'll see.
Yeah, it's exactly. Like, it's crazy how, like, if there's, like, a syllabus quiz or something, and you get a 0 on the syllabus quiz because you didn't go to class on the first day or something, that can be the difference between you getting an A or an a B or something. But the syllabus, if you're at that point between an A and a B, it obviously doesn't matter if you pass the syllabus quiz or not.
And, like, I've read 20 syllabi. Why do I have to, like, I get it. I know how a class works, you know? I totally get it.
I've gone into a class, this semester actually. I've gone into the class 3 weeks into the semester. Like, I came in on the fourth week. And I read the syllabus the night before I went to class. And I did all the work I was supposed to do. And I was the most prepared one for class that day. If I could do that, like, just by looking at the syllabus and like, oh, this is what I need to do.
I mean, that's even better. That's just showing that you could follow simple directions.
Exactly, and it's like,
accomplishing it on
why is syllabus quiz? Is just that's so silly. That
Or
is so
even
silly to
go
me.
reading the syllabus as a class on the first day. It's like,
Oh
this
my-
is a
That is-
university level.
That
like,
is ridiculous.
Is it not an assumption that I can read a two-sided piece of paper by now?
double-sided.
Oh.
You know, on the first week of class, sometimes I'll just skip all those classes on the first week.
Oh, you really can.
Just because it's like, oh, we're just going to be reading the syllabus. Like, it's not even like assuming that we're going to be reading the syllabus. We are going to be
And
reading
it's
the
10
syllabus.
minutes and you leave.
Yeah, I actually missed the first. It was my own fault, but I thought it started at 9:30 instead of 9 o'clock. A class I had this semester, and so I got there at 9:30 on the first day, and I like walked in. I like picked up a syllabus. No one was even saying anything, and then right after I sat down, we like got up and started doing stuff that was relevant to that class. So I later learned that all I missed was reading the syllabus. And yet that teacher gave me an absence for that class, and that teacher had a very strict attendance policy, and it's in the add drop window, and all I missed was this guy read a piece of paper.
And in like hour and a half classes or hour classes, like 1 hour classes, they'll spend the entire time reading the syllabus.
Yeah,
it's like for an hour. Like,
Yeah.
for an
it's
hour.
like if I came to your
that is
class
so long to read.
30 minutes late in a 50-minute class, and all I missed was you read the syllabus, then does that say more about me or the way that you're running this class? Because I can read. Just send it out on the internet before the class starts if that's how strict you want to run the class.
Yeah. So like,
God.
I kind of thought of this cool segue that one of the most successful jobs that you could like possibly occupy, let's say like a big time movie director, and in the 70s there's a group of students by the names of like Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, like Francis Ford Coppola, Martin Scorsese. They all just dropped out of film school, and they just started making movies, you know.
I'm down.
And we know
So
George
sick of
Lucas
this.
is the maker of Star Wars,
right.
and I mean he did that just on no budget, just because he wanted to, and now look what Star Wars has, you know, become.
Literally a pop culture reference that essentially any human would understand.
That's true.
Most
And
humans.
someone asked me just yesterday, do you think there'll ever be a time where Star Wars will just be forgotten about?
No.
It's hard to imagine that world from our perspective.
Unless we get into nuclear war.
Yeah, we could all any day now. We could all die.
Because no, just because we live in the information age, everything that we have logged and recorded, we will have forever until like somebody blows up the world.
Until someone kills everyone.
Yeah, exactly. You know. But the new Star Wars movie looks cool.
It does look pretty cool.
I mean, raise your hand if you've seen the trailer. Fantastic.
I would say
I've seen it multiple times.
I like how it feels like they're taking it in a different direction, and you're not even sure what direction
I
that
know,
might be.
dude. Like that last scene of the trailer.
Exactly.
Oh
dude.
my god. Just like, what is gonna happen?
I was really impressed by Mark Hamill's performance, just in the trailer alone. Seems like he's really giving his all here, and that's just fantastic.
Yeah.
To see someone who like made his career just by doing what he loves, and he's.
I wonder. Do you know when they filmed that movie?
They filmed it about a year ago.
Was it a year ago?
Yeah, I think they started sometime in December, and they probably stopped around April or May.
That's so crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And here's kind of something that is, you know, we all kind of don't want to talk about, but it's unavoidable. Oh man. You know that last year, I'm in the big chair now.
Welcome.
You know that, Andrew.
Ricky, nice to meet you.
Hey, man. You know that last year, Carrie Fisher passed away?
Yeah.
And it's kind of inevitable that, well, maybe her character will have to die off in this one, which is something we don't really want to see Princess Leia have to do with. That is true. The trailer really teased that moment.
It did.
You know?
It really did.
I mean, a hot debate amongst my friends is whether or not that happens right then.
Well, when I saw that scene in the trailer, I was like, no. I was like, this is too soon. It's too soon. Like, they can't do this.
Yeah.
You know?
It really slows down. It really focuses on that.
It really does. But and at the same time, it would almost be an insult for future movies if they put, like, a CGI for Carrie Fisher.
Of course.
It'd be the biggest insult.
She can't just not be in Episode 9. Like, oh, she's just, you know, doing something, you know? They gotta... I mean, I think they really do need to give her a send-off for the character, but also for the, you know, the actress, you know?
Yeah.
Give her a proper...
And I'm sure they will, because the people that are working on the set with her are probably, like, very close with her. And, like...
Everyone spoke highly of her.
They were probably, you know, so they're probably going to give her a proper, like... proper send-off.
General Leia.
Yes. Gosh, dude.
It's going to be amazing. I mean, but... funny enough, you know, I do a little bit of counseling. I attend counseling appointments, you know, because I like to talk.
Yeah.
And a big topic at my last appointment was finding, you know, a balance in my life. You know, sometimes I'm moving too much, and sometimes I'm just very stagnant, and, you know, sometimes... And I go from extremes, you know, sometimes, like, I'm like, I don't want to drink any beer, and sometimes I drink a lot of beer, you know, which is a big problem for me, just because I'm getting a little belly. And, you know, we started talking about the Force, and we're talking about, like, philosophically and spiritually, like, how could it could really apply to our lives.
What could apply?
The Force, and
the Force.
I think you're a spiritual man, so you
I
understand.
thought you said forest, but you said
the
forest.
Well, the Forest is a beautiful place. Go check it out. But, you know, they say the Force is all around us,
yeah,
and it brings us together, and it's within us as well. You know, and, like, I'm at a point in my maturity where I can, like, admit that, you know, that could be God, you know? That could be whatever you call it, but some people would call it God, and, you know, like...
Right.
It definitely applies, and, I mean, the whole thing with the Force is finding a balance within yourself. You know, because we all have a light side and a dark side. So I guess I'm just throwing that out there and seeing how, you know, this stuff could be pretty relevant to people, you know?
Right. I mean... Even today, it's especially today in our country, spirituality is looked upon like as it's not needed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because we are a people that's used to instant gratification. If we're hungry, we can go get some food.
Yeah.
If we're bored, you know, we can do whatever. You know,
well, any mindless thing.
Any mindless thing. If we want to know something, we look it up.
Google.
You know, we are a people of instant gratification. So it's natural for the people of the United States to feel like they have everything. Like they have everything under control.
Uh-huh.
They have their life under control. They have their job under control. They have their relationships under control. Because they feel like they have everything at their disposal.
Yeah.
But every human being in this world has this yearning inside of them for something far beyond them.
Bigger,
you know, and it's because of the country that we live in. It's that aspect is suppressed, and people look at spirituality as like, oh, I don't need that because I have this, I have this, I have this.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of distractions, a lot of glowing lights and signs that say like, oh, you're happy.
Whereas if you go to anywhere else in the world, like with not as a developed civilization as we do, tell those people there's no God.
Yeah, they're extremely spiritual.
You know, because they recognize, and they're so aware of everything around them because they have to be. you know?
Yeah.
And they learn that, you know, instant gratification is like not good.
No.
You know?
I mean, the process is by far more important than the reward.
Of course.
You know?
That's what it's all about, the process.
I mean,
that's how you learn.
I mean, it takes a wise mind to really recognize that that is the reward. You know, is the process.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I'm there yet, but you know,
Well,
it's always a journey. You know.
I mean, Ricky, you and I
and
can
that's the reward.
You and I can get together at some point and just like talk about this.
Yeah, that's true.
Just because there's a certain type of awareness that. See, I don't even know where I'm gonna go with this thought.
I'm tagging Jacob in real quick.
But we should probably wrap this up. So I want to wrap it up with just the idea of creativity to like redefine what we were talking about. So like with the job market and how it's going, factory and industry things will probably be taken over by robots. You know, which will give more room and more time for humans to kind of get to their creative side, and you know, and that might actually even be praised.
Yeah,
is the the creative aspect of humans.
I think we're seeing the beginning of it and also like with our generation being more creative, and I don't mean that in like creative, we're creative personalities or whatever, like creative, like
Yep.
we are making stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, I think our generation also is gonna lead some kind of spiritual recharge. Just
Yeah.
the American, or just a new renaissance of sorts. It's already kind of happening.
Well, if you want to get involved, leave a comment, leave a like, message us. Both Jacob and I and Ricky have many avenues of creating and getting things out there. So if you are creating something and you want to get it out there, talk to us and we'll help you. We're just trying to build a network of creative people and people who just want to create, no matter what it is. As long as it doesn't harm anyone, then it's okay. You know?
Natural law.
So, thank you for tuning in to the TreeHouse Live. Coming at you live from
The TreeHouse
with Jacob Bruner
and Andrew Sanchez.
Thank you so much. Have a blessed day.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Boom.